welcome to the Browns did what? Oh, no, this is not draft. Welcome to the Riverfront Reds Show, where we won't talk too much about the Browns giving up the chance to have Travis Hunter, but we will talk about your Cincinnati Reds and Jeimer Candelario. Branch Brown, thanks so much for taking some time tonight.
Oh, thank you for letting me be here. I love it.
It's been a good week. I mean, these guys are playing a little better here, and I know we talked before we came on the air. We're both pretty happy about the overall, where they are right now. A game under 500 here as we record on a Thursday night with an off night. I guess give me your 30,000 foot view of this squad right now.
The pitching's just been so good. We had a little downturn this week with Hunter, but you're going to have a bad day at some point. Mm-hmm. Usually it's sometime about the end of April, beginning of May. He'll get through it. Not a big deal. Would have liked to have taken 2 out of 3 from Miami, but they're still. I think Tito's still figuring out his bullpen, but other than that, I think that there's a lot more room for improvement than there is for failure right now.
Yeah, we had a friend of mine who he's in the media here in Columbus with the Columbus Blue Jackets, but he grew up a Cleveland fan. He's a huge Guardians guy, and Jeff Svoboda came on here a few months ago when they hired Francona, and he talked about that. Like, hey, he'll spend like the first couple of months almost every year figuring out the bullpen and seeing what he's got. And listen, we're 25 games in. He's 12-13. There's a few that could have gone the other way. There might be a few that we kind of stole that maybe could have gone the other way. So, that idea of, hey, I kind of like where we are. I think there's more to come. There's more meat on that bone when it comes to like even Ellie De La Cruz's offense, even though he's doing great. He's just playing really well. Late Night Reds Sunday night got to recap that 24-2 game, but I think it deserves a little conversation. What were your thoughts? I mean, it's Easter Sunday. We had family.
It was crazy because I'm cooking Easter dinner.
Yeah.
And like I've got the game on the radio, and I'm like, what's going on? What's
That's right.
And like when Ellie made that catch, like I immediately went to my phone. I've got a ham on the grill. I've got a dozen other things going on. And I go to my phone, I see the highlight, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, let's see. And then like the next thing I know, it's like 10-1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? I had to wake up on Monday morning and rewatch the game.
Sure. And
just watch it to see it. I was like, oh my gosh.
But
Austin Wynns, have yourself a day.
Exactly. We'll get to a little more on him in a minute. But that idea of that kind of game when you've got family, there's distractions, like there's no pressure, there's no like worry. When it gets to like 15-1, you can go out and watch the cousins play their basketball game like I did out in the driveway. And
I got to say, my family really appreciated the fact that once it was up to like 9 or 10-1, I wasn't locked into the game.
Yeah.
I was paying attention to them.
And no fuss, no muss, no fuss type of game there on Easter. Now, you mentioned the Marlins series. They lose the first 2 games. Defense reared its ugly head again in the second game. I mean, Ashcraft, the throw he made. But I'll tell you what, Jeimer Candelario, either come off the bag or catch the ball. I've seen multiple balls hit him in the webbing and then skid off. I didn't like the idea of him playing third. I don't like the idea of him playing first. And I was there in the.
I'm not a big fan of him in DH right now.
That's true too. Well, they did win the third game 5-2. Think about they beat Alcantara. Austin Wynns 9 of his last 11. He hit the home run off Sandy Alcantara down in Miami, the bigger ballpark. I mean, ride that as long as we can, right?
That's my theory is you ride that horse.
Yeah.
Like I'm like honestly, I'm like DH him. He's probably not going to do it forever, but right now he's seeing the ball like a beach ball. Ride it as long as you can.
Did you see he hit a home run earlier, but he hit a double later? And as he's running to first, he looks over at the dugout and he gives that little smirk. And it's like he knows he's 34 years old. He's not.
Yeah, he's been in the game long enough. He knows exactly what's going on. He's like, on a heater.
Yeah,
ride it.
He's like, this is the most fun I'm ever gonna have.
Yeah,
and don't worry about it. And I guess you think about it this way, they can if both catchers are hitting well, they're good catchers. Tyler Stevenson's on his rehab assignment down in AAA. It's like, hey, go ahead and take some time, Tyler. We're not rushing you, buddy.
I mean, they can do that with him. I mean, Honestly, I'd rather see right now as hot as if Wynns keeps up being this hot. People were talking about, well, should we move, Stevenson to DH? I'm like, no, you put as long as Wynns is hitting like this, put him in DH. Batting.
Yeah, I mean,
just give him as much as he can.
Yeah, it's not ideal for maybe a whole year to have 3 catchers, but when you have a DH position in the National League now, I think some of us are still wrapping our arms around that idea, including Reds Brass sometimes. We had that conversation a week or so ago. Yeah, you can. I mean, there were going to be times if Tyler Stevenson never got hurt, there were going to be times when Trevino was going to catch and Stevenson was going to DH, and that's great. That's a good thing to have. But Wynns is on that heater, and it's just great to see. And he's not. The thing is, he's basically playing every third game is the average. So it's not like
every game until the heater stops.
Well, maybe in some form or another. Talked to my good friend Ben Lewis earlier today. He's a good friend of mine from college, and he's like, "Well, I think we just need to sign more Austins because Austin Wynns and then Austin Hayes, man, he just came out of the chute, didn't he?"
Yeah, he has been absolutely fantastic. I hope he keeps it up. I mean, honestly, his outfield's starting to look like something, and it's a weakness. Yeah. It has been, but right now TJ looks pretty good. Austin Hayes looks good, and I'm really loving Gavin Lux.
Gavin Lux,
the outfield's starting to be like, it's just baseball where we're all like, this outfield's going to be horrible. This outfield's going to be horrible. And watch him end up turning out to be a pretty decent outfield.
Well, and I even remember last offseason, not the 2024 before that season started, and the whole National League Central had pretty poor outfields at that time. It was like, maybe one guy here or there, but I guess you're right about it. I mean, if guys can stay healthy, certainly you still more is better. Like the same thing with the starting pitching discussion. Carson Spires gets hurt and Rhett Lauder's not back yet, and it's like now they don't have as much depth, and so you'd always like to have more depth, and certainly that's what you're looking for. And that brings us. We brought it up a few times. Jeimer Candelario. I mean, so he's got next year on the contract still, and then an option. And it's just like, well, what do you do? I mean, I guess you still wait it out. And I've heard a few people point out, Charlie Goldsmith being one of them, that, hey, once he got off the schneid there after he had a terrible start last year, he was on pace for like 29 home runs when he got hurt later in the year. And I think he still had 20, didn't he?
Yeah, he usually heats up when it gets warmer out.
He does.
But man, it's been painful.
It has. It's really hard to watch, and
he's not even having like even Steer, at the very beginning of the year wasn't having competitive at bats. But now he's having competitive at bats.
That's right.
And he's starting to see some results. And even with Matt McLean struggling a little bit, his bats are super competitive, so I'm not worried about that at all. Candelario's, they're not. They don't even look good.
I get the feeling that Terry Francona doesn't want to be under a microscope on all the things he does, but to me, it's so fascinating. Some of the choices he makes and he's very deliberate. Remember when they brought Marte up the first time when Lux, so there's a few spots open from the IL when McLean went on the IL, and it was like, he didn't play him for like 3 games.
Yeah.
And then he finally did play him, and then they had to send him back down, but then they had to bring him back up. And now he's getting more run, and he's actually performing. We're going to have a question later in viewer mail about Chris Valleca that they found some things with his swing and his follow through, I guess. And my goodness, he just looks so much better. And it goes back to kind of like, if you think the payroll is the payroll, right? And if Jeimer Candelario is on the bench or if he's on the field, he's still getting paid the same amount. And if Marte, though, outperforms him and pushes him to the side, then that's just the way it goes. And listen, if Marte keeps it up, that's great.
I mean, honestly, they need to bench him. I don't think ownership can let him. He's going to have to play like every third day, and that's probably DH. I mean, he can kind of play some first base, but he's not looked particularly good at defense on first base.
Yeah, those guys sometimes
CS and Steer have looked much better.
Oh yeah, yeah, and Steer still looked a little rusty to me, even, but he's still better than Candelario. And CS was actually very athletic back there.
Yeah,
And
CS was good first base, actually. I think given time he could really do it if he starts hitting.
Mm-hmm. We joke about pitchers going on the IL with inflamed ERAs. What would a Jamer Candelario go on the IL with?
Deflated average.
Deflated. Oh, the NFL drafts on deflated footballs was a topic at one time.
Something, negative OPS. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, in the Slack we had somebody put the meme with what teams have a better record than the White Sox, and it was almost all of them. Yeah. And then on the other side it was the Rockies. And I say that because the Reds head to Denver. They're there already. They're going to play a 3-game series beginning Friday the 25th. You just have to win 2, right? At least.
You have to win 2, but it's the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's going to lose a 15-14 game, and it might be the Reds.
Yeah, it could be.
It's the way it is.
I like how the Cowboy put it on the broadcast the other day. He said these, no matter how bad they are, they're all big league teams.
Yeah.
The second you take them for granted, kind of like maybe he was insinuating that the Reds did Monday or Tuesday, or you take them for granted, then that's when they jump up and bite you.
Exactly what happens.
That game the other day, the 24-2 game, that the last time they scored 24 runs was out in Colorado, and my memory serves, it was May 19th, 1999. And that was an amazing game. And I've told that story before. I was running around Ohio State's campus, driving around, trying to find a place where I could watch the game because the blackout rules were in place.
Yeah.
Reds TV wasn't calling the game. And so even though the Denver broadcast, the Rockies broadcast was calling the game, like Damon's, it was blacked out even at Damon's and other sports bars. I'm like, why? It doesn't make sense. Of course, I understand now. Well, I don't understand, but I know why.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I remember just running around campus listening to that game. And, I've had some of those guys on that Red Leg Roundtable show I've done. And like even Denny Nagel, he started that game.
Yeah.
That's the last game he pitched for. He went on the disabled list back then. He was actually hurt, and he gave up several of the runs, but they won 24-12, which was just insane. I think Sean Casey went 6 for 6.
Those games are just, they're kind of fun in a way. Everybody, it's like, okay, let's see position players pitch. That's always, and a couple years ago when we had way too many Reds position players pitching, I didn't like it because that's just bad management. But occasionally it's fun, occasionally.
Sure.
And Colorado seems to produce more of those than anywhere else.
They do. It reminds me a lot of, especially the old days when the wind would be blowing out in Wrigley on an afternoon.
Yeah.
And the offense, like one game, the wind's blowing in, it's 1-0, and the next game it's 15-12.
Yep.
Something like
Every
that.
pop-up goes out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I told you before the show I had an Elly De La Cruz thought I wanted to share with you. And I didn't tee this up at all except for to tell you I have one. So I want you to listen to this, and I just want your thoughts because it's something that occurred to me the other day. You think back to the 80s. The Reds had a bona fide leader, a former MVP, and now Hall of Famer named Dave Parker. And he is often credited, even the further we get from then, I hear more and more about guys like Eric Davis and Barry Larkin talking about he showed them the ropes. He showed them how to be big leaguers, even kind of helped them learn how to be leaders. And that kind of paid off in the long run. You've got a 1990 World Series out of the deal with Larkin and Davis being kind of the leaders. Certainly a majestic 1987 season for Eric Davis. Yeah. And then, of course, later on an MVP season for Barry Larkin. Elly doesn't have this. Elly's doing all this on the fly. He had part of 1 year with Joey Votto. And Branch, I just want your thoughts on a theory that it's even maybe more impressive, or do you think it, and it's a little ship sailed now because he is who he is, but what do you think about that idea that he just hasn't had that guy to nurture him, and maybe a Terry Francona as manager will help, but
I don't know because there has been spottings of Elly with Juan Soto,
yeah,
and some of the other great players, and because of the talent, I think that maybe he's probably it's not on the team, but he's probably getting some advice and guidance from some superstars.
Sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. Now he's not there on the day to day. But Ellie seems to conduct himself really well.
Oh yes, I'm not calling anything out. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Like with a young team like this, part of me wants to let them evolve on their own.
That's good. Yep.
You don't necessarily need the gritty veteran to put his stuff on them. Just as long as they have as long as they have mentors to talk to, I think they'll be all right.
Now, the one thing that's interesting to me, because Joey Votto, he was on the rehab there when Matt McLean and Ellie were in Louisville back in 2023. He was in the dugout, and then he was on the Reds team then the rest of the year. But the one thing Joey would talk about, and you think about, we can fill in the blanks on who was in the clubhouse back then. Joey would talk about being a young player and kind of being pushed to the side, and you're just a rook and you don't get a say and that kind of thing. And Joey would talk about how he didn't do that. I get the feeling, because you still hear the things that Eric Davis would say to kind of poke at Barry, and you're hitting a ball with a newspaper, you don't have any power. That stuff was fun. But it doesn't seem to me that Dave Parker treated them like they were peons.
No,
it was more like, I'm going to put you under my wing and show you the ropes. And I don't know that Joey feels he got that. Or at least he's trying.
He did.
He was trying to be different than those guys, and he said it before.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do you think they should go out and get somebody?
I'm leaning more toward what you said. I think this is his third year in the big leagues now. So I think he is only 23, but I think he's at the point now where he's seen it. And you know what? I think maybe Matt McLean, in his own way, especially being that he's American and we're playing on American soil and all that, in his own way, maybe Matt McLean has been that for him.
Yeah. And I think it's maybe one of the reasons they went ahead and signed Trevino.
Yeah.
To the extension they did.
Sure.
I don't know if you ever listened to the Jim Day podcast on it.
I did, yeah.
But once I listened to that, I was like, oh man, this guy's a baller.
Yeah, absolutely.
He loves this stuff, and I think he's been a positive influence all the way around, and honestly, I believe once Stevenson gets back and gets in the groove, he'll take over as more of a traditional catcher / captain of the team.
And Jonathan India had his time of kind of forced leadership and felt a little more rah-rah to me.
Yeah.
Then I don't think anybody would ever say Dave Parker was a rah-rah leader. I think Dave Parker was a menacing kind of, this is how we do things, and showing you by example and taking you under his wing. I'm not saying I see a hole in leadership on this team. What I was getting at is I think I have to give Ellie even more credit. It's kind of like the stereotype on guys that went out of high school to the NBA back when LeBron. The stereotype was, especially a single parent household and the different things that LeBron grew up with, is that like these guys aren't mature enough, they're not ready. And then he just and you don't have to be the biggest LeBron fan necessarily, but he just went out and lived up to everything. And I feel like Ellie's kind of like that. Like Ellie's kind of living up to almost everything we've hoped he could be.
Massive talent covers up a lot of stuff.
This is true too.
Yeah,
but he's not getting in trouble off the field. He's not.
No, that's one thing that's had me worried. I'm hoping he doesn't. What I always look for when I'm watching the games is how engaged he is. And when you look at that dugout, actually, most of them are really engaged. Yes. Ellie's right there.
Yep.
He is in the game. McLean's in the game. Friedel's always been in the game.
That's true.
It's the players that, honestly, it kind of bugs me how Fraley goes and sits down and puts his head down.
Well,
if I was coaching him, I'd be like, we got a guy on base. You got the pitcher. Get up here, but he's dealing with his own stuff, and maybe that's just him,
Yeah, that is true. Well, hey, I gave you a topic earlier in the week. We're a month into the season officially. 4 weeks ago today,
Yep.
as we record this, was opening day. We wanted the Reds to sign some more guys in the offseason. I think a lot of us did. But I think it kind of fell through the cracks a little bit how active they actually were. So I kind of made a list, but I asked you, is there anybody out there that we thought they missed out on signing or trading for that either you wish they had or maybe we were happy they didn't? But let's go through what they did. They signed Austin Hayes to a $5 million deal that's looking really good. I mean, obviously he had the hamstring, a little slow to start as far as getting started,
Yeah.
but he's been amazing since.
Yeah.
I'll go over his numbers here in a minute. They traded for Brady Singer, the Jonathan.
That's been a great trade.
And again, you just can't have enough starting pitching. And they're not all going to be Cy Young, but at the same time,
dude, he's a solid pitcher.
Very solid, very solid. They traded for Gavin Lux, who we've already said 9-game hitting streak, doing a great job. Hot take: he's even better left-handed here than the right-handed Jonathan India was.
Yeah,
and actually getting Lux, the left-handed batter, that helped because it was a lineup full of righties. So
I've liked how he hasn't looked stupid in left field.
No, he's
looked fine. I mean, he's had one great play and a bunch of he made the play. There's not been any major mishaps.
No, he had a huge throw off the.
That was. I mean, that's an all-star level outfielder play right there. That was beautiful.
Absolutely. So Scott Barlow, he's an okay guy who eats up a few innings out of the bullpen. He really only had one or two bad outings in his 12 appearances already. And then Taylor Rogers is interesting, the lefty. In my mind, he's not having a great year, but he only has a 2.25 ERA. He's allowed 2 of 3 total inherited runners to score, which that hurts a little bit. That doesn't affect his ERA, but the one game was when the game his brother dominated against us and against the Reds in San Francisco.
Look at him.
So, a lefty signing that was a decent signing, but it always felt like they needed another outfielder and or another reliever. So kind of, was there anybody on your mind that you thought of that maybe, hey, I wish they would have got this guy, or I'm glad they didn't?
Well, there was one that they could have got that I think would have just handed them the division, but apparently Houston didn't want to play with what the Reds had to offer, and that's Tucker.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker.
I mean, that would have put them over the top. They've been division favorites.
So
that one flew out the door. I don't know. I mean, part of me wouldn't have minded to have Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not having a great year.
No.
But like the rest of them, the free agent market was not good.
No, I mean,
I'm actually, they weren't never going to get Teoscar. They were never going to get Santander.
Yeah. Well, so the thing too is, we've already discussed, Candelario, and then they paid Moustakas to go away. They paid Shogo Akiyama to go away. They paid Mike Ford to go away. Like all these guys, Will Myers, they paid him to go away. And it's like, don't make a dumb signing. So we're asking them to
I don't trust the Reds to make free agent signings.
Right.
They don't do it enough to be good at it.
And Skylar Webker's asked that 2 straight weeks on Late Night Reds, and we still haven't really come up with the last really good one. But Santander, signed with the Blue Jays for all that money. A negative .3 B WAR, 189 batting average, 2 home runs, 26 strikeouts, only a 63 OPS plus. In only a week plus of work, Austin Hayes already has a .6 B WAR. He's only played 9 games. Small sample, obviously, but he's hitting .361, 410 OBP, 3 homers, and a 182 OPS plus.
And you definitely can tell he's on the team. It makes it a better team.
That's true. So, again, getting Hayes is one thing, but we kind of wanted one more. The Luis Robert Jr. trade was rumored. You and I have already talked about that before, but he's batting $145.
Yeah.
He's got an OPS plus of 53. Do you still want to trade Chase Burns for that guy? I never wanted to trade for him. No.
I mean, and he'll be on the injured list in 2-3 weeks and be done.
Now, one guy I kind of wanted, so this was me, the guy I kind of wanted was Michael Conforto.
Okay.
I liked his offense, but he's only hitting 197. He struck out 24 times already. He does have a 98 OPS plus, so he's nearing that average mark. And then the other one, the guy they should have signed before last year, and they didn't. And then he ended up, you already mentioned him, Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
He signed with the Dodgers last year. Then he re-upped with them again. He was only going back to the Dodgers. He didn't want to go anywhere else.
I think he knew that from the get-go. I think the Dodgers knew that. That was just,
He's got 6 home runs. He's hitting 270.
Yeah.
He's doing a little better than some of these other guys. So I guess as I look at it, that's kind of the overall. I don't have any like relievers I thought they should have had or something like that. But, certainly get those $2 to $4 million relievers and just,
as soon as I heard the rumor that the Astros were shopping Tucker,
yes,
I was like, please do it, please do it, please do it, please do it. And then especially when I heard that the Cubs were interested, I'm like, take it, make the Cubs worse and make the Reds better. Do it, And I was really upset about it until I heard from somebody on the inside saying that they just didn't match up.
Yeah. Well, there was
like, okay, so this wasn't they actually checked in with the Astros. I'm like,
I hope so.
That makes me feel so much better.
At least, yeah. I remember really wanting them to trade for Yelich years ago.
Right? Yelich was my comparison, yeah.
And then, but he goes to the Brewers, and just you have to see it all the time. And then even Adames, they could have used Adames.
Adames trade was. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of Reds country screaming for Adames,
right?
And then that one really hurt. They didn't even check in.
But he's a major reason why they were so good the last couple of years.
Huge reason.
Like heart and soul, leadership.
I really wasn't that much. I didn't really think too much about it, but I do remember a whole lot of really in tune Reds fans really screaming about Adames right when they knew he was going to become available.
Yes.
They're right. So.
Well, yeah, and it's that kind of stuff. I mean, I even go back to '95 when the Braves got Michael Devereaux.
Yeah.
The Reds tried to get him, and the Braves blocked that because they had the better waiver claim.
We go back to 13 when the Pirates got Bird.
Yeah.
And then the next year they went ahead and picked up Bird. Well, you learn from your mistake, but it was a year too late.
That's true. No, it happens, and I'm sure the Reds have gotten guys that other teams wanted, but the willingness to check in, I guess. But you know what I'm saying, like
at least see if there's a matchup there. They didn't never see if there's a matchup there with Yelich, and that bugs me.
Right. And it just feels like whatever flavor they're feeling at the moment. Like you go back to obviously we've talked about how they traded Sonny Gray, and then. What was it, Mike Minor? They almost gave the same amount of money to, and it's like, what? This doesn't make sense because he's not as good a pitcher, and it's just the whims of the ownership and all that.
I will say that back in the Yelich time, it felt like the ownership was a lot more involved than it does right now.
I agree with that.
I'm not feeling like the ownership is having as much pressure on day-to-day operations,
except for how much money they're willing to give.
How much, but I don't think that anybody's going to hear. Well, they might on Ellie, but we could never trade Billy Hamilton.
Oh yeah, exactly. You go back to that one. Chapman should have probably been dealt sooner. All those things. Yeah, and I guess that's a positive. But again, if they're not going to add money, then that kind of handcuffs you a little bit. But at least maybe they are trusting the baseball staff a little more than they used to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we are at the time of the show that everybody waits for anxiously. It's viewer mail time. I'm going to do the Chad Dawson.
My favorite too. I like viewer mail.
These are actual letters.
Well, see, it's not as good now that there's viewers.
The joke isn't quite.
Yeah, it's not as great as Chad all them years.
Now I tipped off
viewer mail.
You can become a Patreon. Join our Patreon. Become a patron. And you can get invited to our Slack channel. That is where I send the viewer mail question every week. And if you want to do that, you can join up and go ahead and be able to ask the questions and even interact with guys like Branch. I think he'll engage you in conversation if you want to talk with them.
There's a ton of people. They're just talking Reds.
That's right. Talking Reds, and we're trying to keep the vibes good. And obviously we've got shoulders to cry on when we need to, which feels like too often. But at the same time, I don't think you're getting in as many fights in the Slack as you would on
nowhere
Twitter,
near as toxic as you're going to see on some other things.
That's right. So in the viewer mail question, I did tip off the viewers that that we were going to talk about maybe some of the guys they wish they would have signed, but I also solicited questions and vibes. So let's start it off with Kyle Kapler. I think Kyle's in a race weekly to get the first question. And
Kyle's always right there.
Yep. Good job, Kyle. He is feeling decent overall, which I think you and I would agree with. He likes who they got so far. Hayes, Lux, Singer, Taylor, Trevino. We went over those. But like everyone else, I wish they had done more. Couple games they let go, unfortunately. I know it's way early still, but wanted and still want an answer at first base. Whether it's CES or Candelario, I want production from there. I have my eye on Yandy Diaz.
I've seen that. That's interesting.
Despite a slow start, if there is a move to be made this summer, well, Kyle, you better buy a lot of Reds tickets because if they're going to add, they need more rear ends and seats because that's how they can be able to afford to open up those wallets. What do you think, I guess, of that Yandy Diaz possibility?
How much is he? Is he on a big contract?
Let's find out.
I'm not sure. I mean, I've already solved first base. Austin Wynns. We're done. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I don't know if that heater is going to last that long. Let's see. He is not having a very good year so far, but let me look at his contract. He is on a 3-year, $24 million contract.
Oh, goodness.
All of it guaranteed, obviously. Base salary of $10 million this year and a total salary of $10 million.
That's not terrible.
So, yeah, not too bad.
If Martinez wouldn't have accepted the qualifying offer, they could have afforded it.
Oh, Martinez is going to help the Reds. I think we need all the pitching we can get.
That was the biggest bluff ever.
Do you seriously think they didn't think he'd accept it?
I didn't think he'd accept it.
Well, but do you think the Reds?
I don't think the Reds did either.
Okay, that's what
I thought they thought for sure he was going to go somewhere on a after the way he finished last year on a 3-year, $60 million deal and not accept it. I honestly remember I was like, "There's no way he's accepting that." He's got to get a better deal.
I don't, especially Boris is his agent too. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm like, but I get it. I mean, $21 million for 1 year is.
I'll throw a baseball for that. Yeah. All right, moving on. Dave Magrum says, and I hope I'm saying that right. Am I? I don't know. Magrum, Magrum. Help me out, Dave. Dave, your vibes are good. He says, I have players I love, and then there's Candy.
Welcome to Red Lake Nation right now.
I'm happy with the team. I'm looking forward to Ty Steve getting back into the roster. I miss good hitting CES. Well, good hitting CES made a very brief cameo in his career so far. I'm still kind of waiting on that. I'm
scared he's going to be a Keno.
Well, I'd take a 17 home run month though, because that would mean this team got.
That's Austin Wynns. That's the reason he goes to first base.
Well, I did see CES once put a ball. I'm trying to think, what is it? Nationwide Boulevard there. He put a ball out of the Clippers stadium when I was down there for a Reds or a Louisville Bats Clippers game here in Columbus. He put a ball over the scoreboard into the parking lot across the street.
Here's a comp that I have for CES that not a lot of people are ever going to agree with, but I think that once he gets time and is healthy, he's going to be better defensively. But I think he can be Kyle Schwarber.
Oh.
I really do.
Okay.
Because the sheer raw power is there.
It is there, yes.
And I think he's a better athlete than Schwarber.
As much. You can get on base?
He's going to strike out a lot.
Yeah, well, and Schwarber does too, but he walks too.
But he's the last thing a pitcher wants to see in the ninth when you got 2 on and you're down by a run.
Well,
or
right.
you're up by a run,
And the same with Schwarber, like, they don't wanna see him lead off a game either.
Yeah, because it's like make one mistake, and it's like
Yeah.
you just that does put pressure on pitchers if they know if they make a mistake, it's gone.
Mhm.
You know.
Well, Dave closes by saying, "Let's put this young team on the field together and play ball." And yeah, you just want everybody back
Yeah.
healthy. Let's see how many games they can play healthy. Hey, we got a check-in from Late Night Reds host Skylar Webker. He
Okay,
says
cool.
vibes are high. We are far from the slow starts that we are used to, and only getting better as guys get healthy and start to settle in more. I'll take a game under 500 this early in the season. And he
Absolutely.
says, I'm super glad the Reds didn't listen to Chad and sign Anthony Rendon. He says
That
they
might be one
should
of the
have
worst
traded.
contracts ever.
Here's one here. I want you to respond to this. Yeah, because who was it I saw the other day? There was something about somebody like a whole career didn't make as much as they're going to pay him just to go away. And it was like
Yeah.
mind blowing. But I want your opinion on this. He says he all capped this. They should have traded to get Gino back to be a DH. How great would that be on this team now? What do you
That would be
think?
fantastic. Honestly, that would have settled a lot.
I have videos of my now 9-year-old son when he was 2.
Mm-hmm.
When he'd hit a home run, it didn't matter where he was in the house. I would yell, "Hey, Eugenio!" And he would yell, "Suarez!"
It would help me so much with my mom and my wife
Yeah.
because they adore him. Like when when they're playing in Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're rooting for the Reds
Oh boy.
because Gino's on the other team.
Okay.
They love him.
Yeah. No, there's no reason not to. And he's
There's no
just
reason not to love him. It's just,
look how steady he's been. He's gonna retire with like 500 home runs or something. Like he's gonna get up
he's.
there.
I would have loved to. I mean, you wouldn't heard any complaints out of me about them getting him.
No,
None.
no. I mean, and you think about it, his contract was really the reason that Jesse Winker and him got traded. Like, I mean,
They were
it's like
trying to trade away that contract.
you're just getting rid of a contract. It wasn't about
And
how good a player he
it
was.
ended up being exact opposite. Winker fumbled a little bit, and
Yeah,
Suarez did well.
yeah. I don't think the Mariners even wanted to hit Suarez. They wanted
They didn't really
Winker,
want him. It was a salary dump. Yeah.
right? And it's just amazing to me to think about that. And
You mess with the baseball gods, and weird things happen. See, Austin Wynns need to be at first base.
okay,
I'm
well.
not
How
gonna
about
let a joke about this. People are gonna think he's not joking. I understand it's just a run, but
right,
let's play the
right,
run.
yeah, right. You don't stop. All right, Rex Scott. He's going to give us a little more to think about. He says, "Good evening, Branch and Seth. I am feeling better about our Reds than I have in a long time because of our stellar pitching, guys who are coming off the injured list, and the offense showing some spark." And here's what he said. Having said that, we are a trampoline team when it comes to our bats, up and down, up and down. And that's what the question's going to come for both of us. He said, "What can you two insiders?" That's a little bit of a stretch. He
Yeah.
said, "What can you two insiders tell us about our hitting coach, which is Chris Valleca, and the program he and Tito have put in place to make this a more consistent team offensively?" I'll let you say something in a moment, but I did go back after reading this question. I listened to Chris Valleca's interview with Mo Egger back on like December 20th after he got hired. It's probably during Reds Fest. He talked about, hey, I understand to be aggressive and try to hit the ball hard. Sometimes you're being more aggressive, and therefore you might strike out sometimes, and that's part of baseball today. But he kind of talked about focusing on strikes 1 and 2, and not just flailing at everything throughout an entire at bat. And then I heard a comment he made to Charlie Goldsmith on the Power Stacks podcast. We'll credit it. That Charlie does with Ryan Giesenslaw. He talked about bat speed and being aggressive through the zone instead of weak contact. And I mean that's fairly basic if you think about it, but obviously being more careful about being more selective at the plate. And I think Ellie's taken that to heart, right?
Gotcha.
But again, at the end of the day, major league hitting coaches are going to get a lot of credit when they hit well, and a lot of blame when they don't. And I'm not sure they really do that much.
Yeah. Keep your eye on the ball. Good job. See the ball, hit the ball. I mean, they can see if somebody's swing changes drastically.
Mm-hmm.
They can work with a hitter, and if they're going to make a drastic change to their swing,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't hit the ball for them.
That's right.
And some of these games this is the thing that's hard, especially in April, and it works itself out usually by June. Everybody's like, "Oh, the ball starts flying." Well, there's something else to the ball starts flying. The hitters get their timing down.
Mm-hmm.
The pitchers have an advantage through the first, 40-ish games or so. As I mean, who was the pitcher for the Marlins on the first night for the first game?
He was wicked, man. He was amazing,
dude. He was Rembrandt up there painting the bottom of the zone. I mean, just pegging that slider. What are you gonna do with that?
No, they couldn't.
You do hit it; it's just going into the ground. There ain't no sense in swinging at it. So the games that they've looked really bad, it's usually been a pretty good pitching performance by the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And these things, they will come around and start hitting these pitchers. And when the pitcher's not doing so good, they make them pay. Something I wouldn't mind seeing, and this is if a pitcher's went through the order and pretty much just got ground out and mostly strikeouts, I kind of want TJ to go ahead and lay down the bunt the next time through.
Yeah, shake things up, right?
Just to break the monotony,
I was listening. I was on the road last night, and it was the end of Lance McAllister's show, and I'm hip to what he's doing because actually I used to work in these stations a little bit on the production side, but he wants to get home, so he records a segment for the final 15 minutes of the show.
Yeah,
earlier in the day. And his segment was about this date in Reds history, right?
Yeah.
And he actually had, and I'm blanking on the pitcher's name, but back in 1964 in Houston, Joe Nuxhall pitched a complete game and won 1-0 against a Houston pitcher who pitched a no-hitter. But in the ninth inning, I believe with one out, Pete Rose laid down a bunt and then threw the ball away.
I think my dad's talked about that game.
And he ends up on second.
Yeah.
And then somebody hits the ball again, and there's another error, and Pete scores. And so there's 2 errors that allowed him to score, and it's like Pete laid down that bunt because nobody had a hit yet. And but it's a little different. Like, remember, was it Kurt Schilling got mad or somebody got mad years ago about somebody laid down a bunt and he ate their ninth inning and no hitter, and it's like, well, yeah, if you're winning like 4-0 and they're completely out of it, that's fine. But this game was 0-0.
Yeah. If the game's competitive, if it's a no hitter, like a solid no hitter, yeah, don't do the bunt. But I'm talking about there's been a bunch of flyouts.
Oh yeah, maybe you remind me. I agree.
There's not much going on.
Just shake it up. Yeah,
just shake it up. Make him, especially when some of these pitchers are living in the bottom of the zone this year, and it's slaughtering Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why the umps are giving that call to him so much on Ellie, particularly, or maybe it's just my bias. But I don't know if you noticed that you're like,
it's about time for Chris Welsh to say he should wear the pants higher.
Yeah, something like that.
With Adam Dunn all the time, he's like, show him where that strike zone is.
It just seems like there's so many that Ellie's face just looks like that's below my knees.
Yeah, I mean, and what can he do? He can't do much. He
can't do nothing.
Get in the league a few more years and be like Joey Votto and get thrown out a few times. But I will say, like we kind of talked about it a minute ago, like the Marte I think it's his follow through that they talked about fixing. And so they watch video. The hitting coach can help with that and say, look what you were doing when you were doing well. Let's get back to that, or let's add this. And they kind of pounded that into him, it sounds like, and it paid off. He had a grand slam off a position player the other day, but then he had a good series in Miami as well.
I think I think they're trying to be patient at the plate. The problem is all these pitchers are throwing first pitch strikes.
Yeah.
So, maybe it bugs me to see so many first pitch strikes go by because they're trying to be patient. So I don't know. It's I believe the hitters will figure it out, not the pitching coach, if they're going to be good.
I think the vibes are good. I think the program as a whole, Tito, I think they're just so. It's a well-oiled machine that's not really performing just yet to the top because they just now started playing for him. But you can already see it. You can see it's like a living organism that's how many more of these metaphors can I use? It's
like I'm waiting on. Yeah, you're gonna start seeing. You can see a 4-game run coming. Then after that, you can see another 4-game run coming, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, we're 8 for the last 10." And
you know who I wish Tito could
numbers start to change.
You know who I wish Tito could have brought with him from
Who?
Cleveland? Stephen Kwan.
Oh gosh, dude, Kwan and Friedel would have been just first, second. There you are.
Yeah, I mean he's got like an 888 OPS right now.
But he's in for power now.
A little bit, but I love those guys. Maybe I've talked to you before. I love having love having different kinds of players.
Okay, wait, Friedel's having a great year.
Well, keep preaching that because there's certain there's certain people that don't believe that, and they just won't see it. That not everybody has to be King Griffey Jr. No. Like on a baseball team,
what's Friedel's average right now? 300.
Let me find out for you. On a baseball team, you do not need every player to be the same. In fact, it's beneficial to have table setters and to have guys that get on and then guys that drive them in. It's just he's batting 295. He's already got 28 hits.
295, real close to 300. Yeah, 0.5 WAR. 20. Let's see. He's got 5 stolen bases. I mean, his slugging ain't great or anything. But that's a leadoff hitter.
He's a leadoff hitter. He's a leadoff hitter getting over a 350 on base. 352 right now.
That's a leadoff hitter.
That is. And I find it interesting that Francona, yet again, here's another example, when he tells them after like a day or two of spring training, hey, your job is to get on base. I want you to do just have a mindset of getting on base twice a game. And likely not to happen every game, certainly, but I mean, it feels like the Lou Brown speech in Major League.
The white walls or the speech?
The speech.
I'm going to call about some white walls.
What was that, Major League 2, when Willie Mays Hayes was played by Omar Epps instead of Wesley Snipes, and he says, I bulked up in the offseason. Your job's to get on base. You give me for every pop up, you give me 20 push-ups. Yeah. And he's doing push-ups at home plate during a spring training game. No. So yes, I mean that's what they wanted from him, and that's what they're getting. And he plays a good, okay defense in center field, and I'm pretty happy. But hey, you have any thoughts on the upcoming series? What do you think against the Rockies? Are we going to see something specific, or?
I hope that they're on top in the 14-15 game.
That's right.
I hope they win that one.
The one game that goes wonky.
The one game that you're just like, okay, you get a home run, and you get a home run, and you get a home run. That's right. That's right. Well, hey, Branch, it's been great chatting with you again. Yeah, good time.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning into the Riverfront Reds Show. Hey, this weekend, Owen Timmerding and Caroline Palmer are going to keep you up to date on all things Bengals draft coverage. They're going to have a special show Friday to kind of talk about the Thursday night pick, which as I look up, they've got one pick to go before they pick.
Who do you think they're taking?
Well, a lot of the guys I wanted are gone. I don't think the safety Starks from Georgia's gone yet. So that's kind of what I'm rooting for.
Okay.
But Michael Williams went way early, and Loveland, the tight end, went really early as well. So, tune in to Welcome to the Jungle on our YouTube channel or wherever you get podcasts. Owen and Caroline will have you up to date throughout the weekend on that. And Late Night Regs come your way on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Get in that chat.
Say hi to my brother Ben.
Ask Ben to give you a nice belly laugh, and it'll be great fun. And hey, all the things are still there. Like if you are new to SeatGeek, you've never used it before, log on, get to SeatGeek, buy your tickets to whatever event you want to go to. Use the code Riverfront; it'll give you a nice discount. We might get a little kickback as well. And the Patreon group is still there. You can always join up with that. Look down in the show notes for all the information on how to do that. And Branch, thanks so much again.
Thanks for having me again, Seth.
It's so fun to get to talk to you. And hey, don't sell yourself short. Your laugh is very good too. See, there it is. Ben Brown. I think the two Bens should do a show together. That would be fun. All right, everyone, here's to a great weekend for the Red Legs, Who Day, and all that. And have a safe and happy weekend, everyone. So long.